Hi, I'm Brian King, and this is Winning Wednesday. Today, I want to talk about something a little different than what we've been talking about before. We've been dealing with all the complaints, and I thought it was time to lighten things up a little bit. So today, I want to talk about developing a vision for your marriage. And what I mean by that is this is something that your marriage needs, and it's something you started with. I know you all did this. When you were dating, you talked about everything. You talked about how many kids you want. You talked about what your goals were, what your dreams were. And, there was nothing that was off the table because you were just dating. And you could have it just easy to talk about. And, you were kind of developing a vision for what your married life was going to be. And uh, that's not supposed to stop. And for a lot of people, it does uh, because they forget and they start to kind of drift away from that. So it's really important to continue to develop a vision for your marriage. And the truth is, if you don't know where you're going, you'll drift. And a marriage without vision often ends up stuck in survival mode, where you're just doing what you have to do to get by, and then do it again the next day and the next day, but you don't really have a goal. But when you dream together, when you set goals, both short term and long term goals, you create an alignment and a unity, and you have excitement about the future. So it's really important to always have something to look forward to and something that's attainable. Like, don't have these like dreams that are way, way out and unattainable only. You can have those, but you also want to have lots and lots of short-term attainable goals. So let's start with the short term, the things that you can work toward right now. For instance, your finances. Do you want to get out of debt? Do you want to build savings? Do you want to start investing? All of these things are really good to kind of have a goal. Do you want to pay off the car? Do you want to do this or that? Or do you want to get ready to buy a house? Are you saving for a down payment? All of those things in the financial realm, you can talk about. And when you set those goals, it's like you're working towards something. It's the same with education. Do you want to pursue a degree or a certification? Or, what are you working towards in the terms of education? Uh, when my wife and I got married, we'd already put most of our education behind us at that point. But we did focus on certain things that we wanted to learn and areas we wanted to grow in. So it's always good to have a goal in all of these areas. Your career, where do you want to be next year? 2 years? Are you in a job that has advancement? And if you're not, maybe you should consider looking at different opportunities, because things will come up. We've been through all kinds of cycles. Well, there's a bad time to look for a job and there's a good time to look for a job. Well, it all changes. Over 38 years of marriage, we've seen all the cycles: interest rates high, interest rates low. The one thing that stayed the same was the fact that we had plans and goals and we moved towards them. And through all of that, we made progress. When I talk about financial goals, I understand that sometimes, there's a lot more month left than there is money, because we had a lot of years like that. And it was hard. There were hard times when we had to really, uh, tighten our belts and really work hard at not going deeper into debt. We had to, really fight for the things, and there wasn't a lot of money left over. But we had goals and things that we wanted to do. One of our goals was to establish a date. And it turned out being Saturday afternoon because you could go to Chinese and it was really cheap. So that's where it started. And then it developed into a Friday night date, which cost a little more. Even at the Chinese restaurant, it was a little more. And then it expanded to, well, Friday and Saturday. And then it was Friday and Saturday, and then vacation, and Friday, Saturday, vacation, and another vacation, and it grew over time because we set goals, and we didn't complain about where we were at. We just kind of kept moving forward. So it's really important to continue moving forward with your goals, because uh, that's kind of what makes it fun. Even when our date consisted of just going out for cheap Chinese on Sunday, we still looked forward to it. And when it got better, we still look forward to that. And it's still um, part of what we do. There's all kinds of other things too. Um, so finances, education, your career, what do you want to do? Where do you want to live? Have you talked about that lately? Are you happy with where you are? And are you moving towards something? Are you saving for a house? You talked about all of those things when you were dating. You had your ideas and your plans, and it was easy and light. So those are kind of short-term goals that you can kind of look at and work towards daily. You know, um, Vacation, even planning just a small getaway. We started out, we knew we needed to do something, and it started out just getting away for a weekend. And then it grew, and eventually we were able to go away for a whole week during the summer, because we found an inexpensive place at the coast that we went back to like 20 years when the kids were growing up. And it got a little more expensive every year, but we were able to maintain it. And the kids have wonderful memories from that. And then we did other things. So it's like it continues to grow when you set those goals and when you talk about it and when you kind of have them in front of you, as opposed to, you know, just showing up and trying to survive because you've got to go to work tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day. Then you get a weekend where you just kind of collapse and start over again after Sunday. No, you want to have things that you're looking forward to, because that makes it easier to get through to the next day. And then let's zoom out to the big picture a little bit. You also want to have some outrageous dreams and goals. Where do you want to be financially in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years? What kind of work-life balance do you envision for your career? And then, like, your family life. We started out when we first got married with, well, hey, let's have 4 kids. We ended up with 3, but it's like we planned that. We had an idea of what we wanted for a family, and then we pursued that. And then you can still continue, now that you've got a family, you've got little ones and they're growing up, what traditions do you want to build? What kind of vacations and lifestyle do you want to have? What's on your dream list? Do you want to travel internationally? Do you want a cabin in the mountains or time at the beach every year? Those are some things that when we first started, those were like way out there dreams. And over a long period of time, they've come to pass. We've done a lot of different things and been able to enjoy a lot, but it was a lot. It was available because we dreamed it and we planned it and we were moving forwards to it and we looked forward to it. And then even beyond that, what is your legacy going to be? What do you want to leave for your children? Not just financially, but in terms of values and faith and reputation. What do you want your family name to stand for? Dream about it. Think about it. Plan for it. Create those short-term goals that will help move you towards the other ones. Don't just have the long-term goals, because if you just have the long-term goals, well, I'd like everything to be perfect. But today I'm, still in debt, still working in a dead-end job, still doing this and that. Then the dreams will make you depressed if you only have those long-term ones, because they seem so far away. So you've got to have the short-term ones. But if you're only focusing on the short-term ones, then it's just as bad that way, because you don't see the big picture. So no, you've got to have both. You really should. So the key is that your vision should include short-term reachable goals and then long-term wild dreams The short term keeps you grounded and moving forward, and the long term keeps you inspired and excited. And you need them both. So take time this week. Sit down, dream, plan, keep it light. Don't make it sound like this is, hard work. It's not. You're taking time to dream. Take time to plan and write it down. Talk about little things and the big things, because marriage isn't about today, it's about where you're going tomorrow. And the big thing is, you and your wife are not just, the sum of the two individuals. You are a dynamic team. And when you put your minds together and start moving in a certain direction, you can go places. You can grow. You can become what you're dreaming. And it's about where you're going tomorrow and the life and legacy you're building together. And that's how you win at marriage. You put the effort in, you make the plans, you move towards your dreams, and then you get there. It's worth it. That's how you win. That's it for today. We're going to talk some more about this kind of stuff and move into some of the more practical details of it. But for right now, just dream. Go ahead and have fun with it. Sit down with your wife and just enjoy that time of planning and having some wild dreams. And don't worry about how you're going to pay for it. Just worry about how big you can dream. It's worth it. It's fun. It'll help you win. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're getting anything out of this. And I will see you next time for another Winning Wednesday. Talk to you later.